Dear guests, ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Before we start with the ceremony, I'd like to introduce Nova Wolf, Knowledge Keeper, Musqueam First Nation, who will perform an indigenous ceremony and drumming.
Can you hear me okay? Should I use some? You hear me? No?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Stay there. It's okay.
Anasiam nasieya. Antha. Anasiam nasieya. Antha. Poyentin. Talatin ak hamathgoyam. Inclu. Samath. Aitna squalawin kunasi kotsnala. Aitna squalawin tatalit to hunkamidam squal. Right now I'm going to call upon a witness, and the witness is chosen because they're going to talk about the work that happens here today. So I'm going to call upon Jill's. Please come get your payment. And I'll be giving him 50 cents, and the reason why I'm giving him 50 cents is because when the government took away our culture and our lands and ways of life, that it cost 50 cents at the time to be able to buy a blanket. So that's why I'm paying our Métis relative here today that amount of money, and to show that good work and show that good thing. I come from the land of Musqueam in Vancouver, Canada. My grandfather, he enlisted Percy Charles Thumpkin. So that's where I get my voice, and that's where I get my singing voice today. I'm going to be doing a brushing with cedar within this display right here. And then I'll be doing some tobacco as well too, which was gifted to me by Chris. So I raise my hands to you, and what that means to me is that I'm thanking you. I'm showing gratitude towards you. So then I'll share the Musqueam Warrior song. And that's what I'll be doing forward today. So I'm going to grab my cedar, and I'm going to lay some tobacco down, and then I'll share the Musqueam Warriors song. See, Talitsin, I thank you all. So this song, Musqueam Warrior song. Oh, Tennessee, see, oh, Tennessee, see. Show no fear, know no fear. Like these people here today that have shown back before when everything was happening. So I raise my hands to all of you.
That was the story of Kaya Palanoch. I am a descendant of Kaya Palanoch. He was a warrior, just like the warriors in front of me here. And that song was written as he was being killed by the Haida Raiders. Oh, Tennessee, oh, Tennessee, show no fear, no fear. So I'm very honored to be able to do this work, and very honored to be able to learn from all of this, to have this experience. And I hope that's appreciated as much as I appreciated you. So I thank you. And what I did here today, with the cedar brushing, that is to show that I'm blessing the land and I'm blessing the things, and you know that I'm coming in with good intentions and with a good heart. Because if you can't connect your mind and your heart, you can't help anybody. I've been delegated as knowledge keeper of my family, of the Charles family. My father, Osman Poyentin, I carry his name today. It is an ancestral name. It's very old. It came from the Samath village. So I'd like to thank all of you. Everything that's here that happened today, all medicine. The people beside you, medicine. The veterans here today, medicine. Seeing all these graves, knowing that everything's being taken care of, so these people can rest, and rest easy knowing that they liberated a very beautiful place. I have family here of the Vidness family, and it's very honorable to be able to come to this territory. Dominic Reginald Daniel of the Tsleil-Waututh Nation gave his life in World War II at the age of 25. And now here at the age of 25, I stand here today. I use my grandfather's voice. I will pass it down to my children when I have them. These are my words. It is just my turn to use them. So remember, when you go home and you see your family, you thank them, you tell them you love them, you tell them what you've seen here today. You are also witnesses, but I did call upon Zales for that particular reason, to have that good work and to show Coast Salish law and Coast Salish protocol. So today is good medicine. We are all medicine, one with the land and one with each other. Not Samat, not Samat. Yuck with that. Yuck with that. Unwind yourself. Yuck with it. Unbind yourself. Enjoy the weather. And when you think of your friends and family that you've lost due to this or any other reason, they're always with you. And when you miss them, in my teachings, in my way of life, that means that they are missing you. So it is a good day here to travel all the way here from Vancouver, Canada. I am a speaker and knowledge keeper. That is where I've been delegated. Some of you may have heard this before. They keep telling me that. Go teach, young man, is what they tell me. So that's what I've done here. And I hope that you feel honored, because I feel honored to be here. So sitalitin, heitzhepka siem.
Thank you very much, Nova Wolf. Dear guests, geachte aanwezigen, please stand when able for the entrance of the Guard and the Canadian Armed Forces Band. Wilt u indien mogelijk gaan staan voor de binnenkomst van de Guard en de Canadian Armed Forces Band.
Stand at ease. Stand easy.
Dear guests, please be seated. Good afternoon. Welcome to this historical and important location for the commemoration of 80 years of freedom and the opening ceremony of the Faces of Groesbeek exhibition. Bonjour, mesdames et messieurs. Bienvenue dans ce lieu historique et important pour la commémoration de 80 ans de liberté et la cérémonie de ouverture de l'exposition Faces to Grace de Groesbeek. Goedemiddag. Welkom op deze historische en belangrijke locatie om 80 jaar vrijheid te herdenken en voor de openingsceremonie van de Faces to Grace tentoonstelling hier in Groesbeek. Because we have many international guests, most of the ceremony will be done in the English language. And before we start with the ceremony, I would like to ask you to silence or switch off your mobile phones. Dames en heren, wilde u alsjeblieft uw telefoon op stil zetten. I'm Lieutenant Colonel Ton Linse, the former Netherlands military attaché to Canada, and I have the honor to be the master of ceremony this afternoon. First, I would like to introduce some of the guests we have attending this afternoon. A special welcome to His Excellency Mr. Hugh Edsett, Ambassador of Canada to the Netherlands. Mr. Paul Letwell, Deputy Minister, Veterans Affairs, Canada. Lieutenant General Lise Bougon, Chief Military Personnel and Commander Military Personnel Command. Honorary Lieutenant General Richard Reumer, Distinguished World War II veteran. Canadian Armed Forces Chief Warrant Officer Robert McCann. Amy Meunier, Assistant Deputy Minister of Veterans Affairs, Canada. Nova Wolf, Knowledge Keeper, Musqueam First Nation. Beatrice Dimitris, Elder Métis Nation of Alberta. Indigenous guest from Canada. Colonel Yannick Lemeu, the Canadian Defense Attaché to the Netherlands, Belgium and Luxembourg. Miss Vanessa Kurtz, teacher at the All Saints High School in Canada, Canada. The Canadian Armed Forces Contingent. The Kelowna Pipe Society. And families of Canadian soldiers that are buried here at Groesbeek. I would also like to welcome the Honourable Mr. Slickman, Mayor of the Municipality of Bergendal. Mr. Xavier Pupping, Area Director Western and Central Europe for the Commonwealth War Grave Commission. Mr. Peter Drent, Provincial Executive of the Province of Gelderland. Und auch ein herzliches Willkommen für die Vertreters der Gemeinde Kranenburg, Kleef und Rees. Further, a special welcome to, I will pronounce it wrongly, Alice van Beckham, Chairwoman of the Faces to Grace Foundation. En een bijzonder welkom voor de jonge scouts van de scoutinggroep De Bevers uit Nijmegen, die vanmiddag een belangrijke rol hebben bij deze herdenking. A special welcome to the young scouts of the scouting group The Bevers from Nijmegen, who will have an important role this afternoon during the ceremony. And last, but certainly not least, a very, very warm welcome to the Canadian veterans who made the long trip from Canada to attend this ceremony. It's an honor to have you here in Groesbeek, and the people of the Netherlands are still very grateful of your efforts to bring peace again to the Netherlands. Peace that has lasted now for 80 years, but still cannot be taken for granted. Thank you very much for being here. Before we start with the first speaker, we have an indigenous performance by Gil and Sarah Crevier, Leanna Wilson and Sandy Fay, so please come forward. Thank you very much for this performance. Now I would like to introduce the first speaker, His Excellency Youth Asset, Ambassador of Canada to the Netherlands.
honored guests, dearest veterans, family members and friends, chers vétérans, membres de famille et amis, het is een eer om hier vandaag te zijn. Few words could ever truly convey the deep emotions that we feel here in the Netherlands, in Groesbeek Canadian War Cemetery, as we gather to commemorate the valiant souls who so courageously fought for freedom during the Second World War. Nowhere is the cost of peace more evident than among the graves of those who gave their lives to secure it. For the 2,610 Commonwealth soldiers buried here, we wish it could be different. We wish that they could stand amongst us, frail as some by now would be, and that they too could feel the magnitude of this moment. They gave their lives for us, for a country that knows and has never forgotten the profound value of freedom and of peace. As the Second World War ended, the Netherlands emerged from the shadows of occupation to rebuild anew. Its communities and countryside had been badly damaged by the ravages of war, and yet its resilience and determination endured. Brick by brick, the spirit of unity and hope that had sustained the Dutch throughout their darkest days became the foundation for their future. A foundation that was underpinned then, as it is underpinned now, by a deep respect for human dignity, and always the sincerest gratitude for the Canadians who helped the Netherlands to be free. Canadian troops left Europe knowing that peace had been won, that they had fulfilled their duty and done right by the people and the values that they had been sent here to defend. These were individuals who answered the call to serve, each playing their part with courage, skill, and determination. But while many did go home, many others did not. They made the ultimate sacrifice, leaving this earth without ever knowing if the Allies would finally find and win that peace. Le braveur et le altruisme demeurent à jamais gravés dans nos mémoires. Nous rappelons solennellement que les qualités de vie dont nous avons encore la chance de profiter aujourd'hui et que nos troupes partout dans le monde continuent de protéger est profondément ancré dans leur sacrifice. Mais cet héritage s'accompagne d'une profonde responsabilité que toutes les générations suivantes ont dû assumer et maintenir. Nous sommes les gardiens temporaires de la paix dont nous avons hérité et les gardiens de la mémoire de ceux qui n'ont jamais eu la chance de vivre au-delà de la guerre. Their bravery and selflessness remain forever engraved in our memories, a solemn reminder that the quality of life we are so fortunate to still enjoy today, and that our troops all over the world continue to protect, is deeply rooted in their sacrifice. But with this legacy comes a profound responsibility that every subsequent generation has had to embrace and uphold. For we are the temporary custodians of the peace that we inherited, and caretakers of the memories of those who never got the chance to live beyond the war. It was long ago that the names of our fallen were etched into the facades of these grave markers. But not much more was known of them when the chisel met the stone. Not where they came from, not what they did, not who they really were. To Alice Van Beckham and to the many, many volunteers I know who've assisted you and your organization, Faces to Graves, with this effort, thank you. Thank you for allowing us to honor these Canadians as more than names carved in rock, but as real people who lived real lives and left real legacies. Like James David Eddy of Nova Scotia, and Charles-Émile Gagnon of Quebec, or Charles Nahawek Gezek from the Shugwe-Anda First Nation Reserve in Ontario, and Minora Morgan Tanaka of Saskatchewan. The photographs around this cemetery show the faces of those that we lost, but more importantly, they tell the stories of those that we must not ever forget. On behalf of a grateful nation, dank u, thank you, merci.
Thank you for your words, Ambassador. I invite now Mr. Mark Slinkman, Mayor of the Municipality of Bergendal, to come forward.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear veterans, merci à tous d'être ici aujourd'hui. Merci de vous joindre à nous pour commémorer 80 ans de liberté et aussi de célébrer ensemble que nous, Canadiens et Néerlandais, vivons en liberté, dans des pays qui valorisent la démocratie de la même manière. Dans un monde qui semble parfois bouleversé, nous préserverons notre amitié et nous resterons solidaires, hier, aujourd'hui et demain. We are gathered here today, ladies and gentlemen, to commemorate the end of the Second World War and the return of liberty to Western Europe after 5 years of bloodshed and malevolent oppression. The Allied victory over Nazi Germany was followed by a stunning and historically unparalleled 80 years of continuous peace on our continent. 3 generations have been born after 1945, growing up in a world that led them to believe that peace is the natural state of mankind and that freedom will naturally endure. The Russian invasion of Ukraine and the cruel war that followed has given us Europeans a rude awakening. The continuing suffering of our Ukrainian friends vividly revives the fading memory of the horrors of our own war, the suffering and the bloodshed, the misery and the waste of human life. Other recent developments in the world add to our worries. They remind us of the fragility of liberty, how easy freedoms can be trampled upon, how quickly our own institutions can be used against us in the wrong hands, how the manipulation of the truth can sway groups of people and turn them against one another. History doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes. As the famous quote goes, the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. And here we are today, and we find ourselves surrounded by more than 2,600 of these good men. For them, it was never an option to do nothing and let evil engulf the world. They enlisted and prepared themselves to actively combat the murderous regime that dominated Europe. For some of them, this meant a return to the land their parents or grandparents had hailed from. For many, though, the Netherlands must have been a country they had barely ever even heard of before. And yet they came and ended up making the ultimate sacrifice to liberate its people from cruel subjugation. It is hard to imagine for us the enormity of their generosity, that they would do that for us, people they had never even met. So naturally, we, the liberated, want to know about our benefactors, who they were, what they looked like, what lives, what personal history they left in Canada. For many years now, the Faces to Graves Foundation has been researching the stories of the men that are buried here. Its goal is to give all of these soldiers a face, a photograph, a life story, a background to the silent cross or Star of David that marks their grave. Today we see over 2,000 photographs, over 80% for those that are resting here. It's an incredible achievement that I'm sure will continue until the last face is found. And one of the results of all this investigation is the realization that about 60 of the heroes buried here belong to the Inuit, Métis and First Nation Canadians. We are very grateful to Faces to Graves that we can now do justice to the memories of these brave young men and honor them in a way that would have been recognizable and meaningful to them. Yesterday, the King's aunt, Princess Margriet, opened a very special exhibition in the nearby Freedom Museum. Her Royal Highness was herself born in Ottawa, Canada, during the royal family's exile in World War II. The princess, at 82 years old, recently fractured a bone and is recovering from that. But nonetheless, she made a very rare public appearance yesterday and travelled to Groesbeek, insisting on opening the exhibition herself. You should all go and see it. It tells the stories of the many Canadian soldiers of Indigenous descent. They answered the call in their thousands, like so many other Canadians. Born from a proud ancestry, they also carried with them a long history of colonial subjugation, persecution, and racism. Perhaps they, more than anyone, felt the need to protect freedom overseas. We cannot repeat history, but we can try to make it rhyme. As we tell the stories of these brave men, we may, no, we must strive to find inspiration in them for our time. Inspiration and hope. Hope that when times are growing darker, once more there will be men and women that will step forward, who will speak up against hatred, oppression, and persecution, who will defy evil, and who will fight for liberty. We owe it to the men resting here to preserve the precious gifts of freedom they left us. And we owe it to our children to pass it on undiminished. Together we can. Let's do. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor Slickman, for your warm words and your attendance. We shortly pause the ceremony for a bit so we can move the veterans into the shade of our beautiful trees, and then we will continue.
zou zeggen.
Thank you all for your patience. We will now continue with the ceremony. And I would like to invite Ms. Alice van Beckham, the chairwoman of the Faces to Grace Foundation, and one of the leading persons behind this event. Alice.
First of all, a warm welcome to the veterans. It's great to have you here. I would like to thank Veteran Affairs Canada for co-hosting this ceremony and the trust placed in the volunteers of Faces to Graves. Today is the opening ceremony of a silent tribute to our liberators, who never came home. And with that, we also honor the soldiers who returned home without their comrades and often struggled to get on with their lives. We are proud to have some of those here today, a lot of them. The Face to Graves non-profit foundation was set up in May 2015. We celebrate the 10th anniversary now, and I am one of the founders, and another founder, Adriaan van der Pol, is here today as well. The purpose of the Face to Graves Foundation is to tell their stories, in which we make them more or less visible by telling who they were. Farmers' sons, promising talents, all beloved sons, husbands and fathers. Today we show their image at their graves. We would also like to get in touch with family in Canada, so that their side of the story can be included in our stories. These life stories compiled by our volunteers are accessible to everyone in a digital monument on the website, where you will find about 1,250 biographies in 2 languages, English and Dutch. We keep their memory alive by telling their stories, lest we forget. Henny Koster, member of our research team, who can't be here today, once said, whilst researching a biography, a soldier moved from a name in my head to a person in my heart. But first I would like to tell you that today's opening of the photo exhibition wouldn't have been possible without the enormous efforts of all Face to Graves volunteers. They are the ones who write, edit, translate life stories. They give a grave a face. But they also roll up their sleeves when needed. Without their enthusiastic efforts, all these photos would not have been at the graves today. You can recognize our volunteers by a white button with Face to Graves logo on it. They have done a lot of work, managed by the project group of the Faces of Groesbeek. And I'd like to mention 2 people, Else Schaberg and Fred Hulsman, who worked so hard for this. What can I say? I have no... Yeah... What can I say? I have no words to express how I feel today. All I can say is thank you. I'm proud that our small organization is big in action. We would like to thank our friends of the Commonwealth War Graves Commission. Our sincere thanks for your cooperation, but also their gardeners, who maintain this cemetery so beautifully. Chapeau. We want to show the sacrifice of the soldiers and officers who are committed to our liberation. May it be a warning sign for future generations who may live in freedom. And then I also think of the fight in the Ukraine, as a result of which families are plunged into mourning. Several World War II soldiers of the Ukraine origin are buried here in this cemetery. Remember what the price is if we don't appreciate and guard that freedom enough. Remember what the price of our freedom meant to families in Canada. Parents who sometimes received the dreaded message that their sons had died. Here in this cemetery lies a soldier of whom 2 brothers also died in this war, and 2 brothers are buried next to each other. And Edmund Levesque, who was killed on his 21st birthday at the Battle for Hoogland. Young wives who received the sad messages, babies who would never be in their father's arms. Also, in my country, babies never met their Canadian father when he was killed in action here. We have a few liberation children here today. One of them is our volunteer Henk Mostert, who fortunately met his father in Canada. There are a few Canadian relatives here today. They can tell you what it really was like when the dreaded telegram was delivered. Like the daughter of Captain Robert Kindersley, Royal Canadian Engineers. She wrote to me, "I received a letter from my dad, written on May 13, 1945, saying that he would be home for my 9th birthday in June. He was killed on 31 May while defusing a bomb." Last but not least, I want to thank all the people who have sent us photos, like Donna Maxwell from Calgary, who is here today. She contacted us from day one to share with us the many photos she collected all over. Also a big thank you to Eileen and David Archer. They have sent us an amount of photos and newspaper clippings. In the Canadian Vietnam War Memorial, you will find lots of photos provided by David, who uses the pseudonym Operation Picture Me. Here today also are Peter and Daria from Prince Edward Island, Valkenburg, from Prince Edward Island, known from their blog on the War Trail Memorial Research Project. You have contributed a lot of photos, and we are in touch for 10 years now. Special thanks to all other people who helped to find photos. There are too many to list. And last but not least, Vanessa Kurtz, history teacher at All Saints School in Canada, Ontario. She participates in our school project since she approached us in August 2019, after her travel to the Netherlands with students of her school for the 65th anniversary of liberation. She always ends her email with a quote from Margaret Mead: "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has." I can tell you, Vanessa, in difficult times, you have inspired me. Thank you. Today we also have special German guests. Ein herzlich willkommen für unsere deutsche Gäste aus Rees und Bienen. There are 34 soldiers of the North Nova Scotia Highlanders buried there, and they all fell in the battle for Bienen. Next Tuesday, May 6, a memorial service will take place in Bienen, at the square in front of the church. The pipes and drums of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police will play an important role in this. It starts at 9:45 in the morning. We also have a special Dutch guest, Jan Smolenaars from Forstenbos. He, along with his brother, was an eyewitness to the crash of the short-stirring bomber LK-548 that killed pilot officer Maurice McHugh of the Royal Australian Air Force. Jan, fijn dat je er bent. I saved the best for last. Face to Graves also has volunteers in Canada who wrote life stories, and sometimes the family does it themselves. Timothy Young is the former Canadian Defence Attaché to the Netherlands, and after he retired and moved to Kingston, Ontario, he is our counsellor to provide military advice, and he is also the editor of all the life stories in Canada for us. Jim Little is a researcher from Turney Valley, Alberta. He is the absolute record holder in writing life stories. He will soon submit his 300th story. Jim, you are amazing. And recently a new member has joined us, Don Halbert from Oak Bend, Manitoba. Don will work on the Queen's Own Cameron Highlands of Canada. Don, no need to copy Jim. Keep in mind that every story you write is one less of all 2,618 that needs to be done. We are almost halfway there. And we will continue until the last one is done. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. van Beckham, for your work on behalf of the Faces to Grace Foundation. The next speaker is Honorary Lieutenant General Richard Reumer, a distinguished World War II veteran who flew with the Royal Canadian Air Force many missions over occupied Europe during the war. Sir.
Hot day. My role is to have a few words to say on behalf of the wonderful men under the shade, under that tree, the veterans of the fighting in Holland, in which I took part a long, long time ago. At the age of 18 and 19, I was a reconnaissance pilot, looking for bad enemies and finding them, and then going from there. We must, of course, thank those veterans to start with, and we thank the bands that are here, the people parading. It's just a wonderful show of strength and recognition that is so important. And it is a significant honor to me to be invited to speak, to say a few words in the recognition and respect of some hundreds of Canadians who populate this magnificent ceremony, the cemetery. I spoke briefly at the cemetery a few years ago, and do so again with special message for all of the fine, dignified Canadian soldiers, naval persons, and airmen whose spirits and souls are much active in this hallowed resting place. I want to speak to say a few words to all who are lodged in this place, having died in many causes, in many ways during Canada's part in the Second World War. I wish to speak to all here who died in the cause of Canada and fought for freedom of oppression. My message is a simple one: you are not forgotten. Your death is remembered, and we are still living souls here, grateful to your sacrifice of your life so many years ago. Pals of ours, friends of ours, all of those who fought with us. I speak to each and every one of you, to your souls, your spirits, your departed but ever-present personages, and to your families here today, to remember you and to thank you for your massive sacrifice for all of us who are still on the grass this side of the grounds. My time in these parts during the war was as a 19-year-old fighter reconnaissance pilot, flying 135 missions that were filled with killer flak shells and enemy anti-aircraft weapons like 88mm guns or small rifles being fired at us from the ground with deadly accuracy. Like hundreds of my flying colleagues, I survived. I'm 101 now. Like hundreds of you who did not survive are here. But when you did survive, it was a legendary reputation for bravery of all Canadians who fought for freedom in the Second World War, and in particular, the brave Canadians by the hundreds who lie here in the soil of this amazingly well-kept, treasured place of honor and burial, part of the domain of our capable Minister of Veterans Affairs and his team. We and all of us here, all of the veterans who are alive today are forever indebted to you who are forever here in this place. We do remember and cherish you and celebrate your presence on this special day. Those are just a few words that I'm saying then on behalf of the people sitting in the shade and on behalf of all the people that are here today to celebrate this occasion. This is the 80th, and it's the kind of situation which does not bear repeating. At the age of 101, I do not expect to be here for the next umpteen years. It's not possible, nor is it wanted. So I want to thank the organizers of this day. I want to thank the ministers. I want to thank the diplomats who have come today to honor, and to thank each and every one of you personally. And I want to say on behalf of the veterans who are sitting under the tree, they're very young people, and they're very pleased to be still alive and doing well, and they are doing well, that is for sure. And thank you for having us. We always enjoy being had.
Thank you, sir, for your service and for your inspiring words. Thank you very much. Now we continue with the blessings. I would like Major Chris van Buskirk, Chaplain Canadian Armed Forces, and Beatrice Dimitris, Elder Métis Nation of Alberta, to offer the blessings.
Can't say bonjour. Hello, veterans, dignitaries, ladies, gentlemen. My name is Beatrice. I am grandmother to the Métis Council Veterans in Canada, and also a researcher of Métis soldiers of all the wars. Heavenly Father, we are meeting here today asking for your guidance and support as we begin this ceremony. In your wisdom, you called many to serve with courage and strength. Lord, bless them with an abundance of honor and respect that mirrors the magnitude of their sacrifice. Lead our veterans to places where their hearts find peace and recognition. Let their service be acknowledged, not just with words, but through our actions and our deeds. In a world quick to move forward, help us to pause and reflect and give thanks for the freedom preserved by their bravery. Thank you. We salute you. We salute you, veterans, and remember you in our prayers. Amen.
Good afternoon. Bonjour. Kwe. Hoden Maider. Beloved veterans, friends. On her 13th birthday, Anne Frank, just before she and her family went into hiding in Amsterdam, received a diary which she affectionately called Kitty. She wrote, "Writing in a diary is a really strange experience for someone like me. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. I feel like writing because I don't have a friend. So I want the diary to be my friend, and I'm going to call this diary Kitty." Today, if Anne were here, she would see the faces of hundreds and hundreds of friends she never knew she had. Thanks to the Faces to Graves Foundation, we can also see them. Once unknown to us, now they are known. With that thought, I invite you into a moment of reflection through the words of this prayer, or silently according to your own beliefs. O eternal God, our Creator and Redeemer, whose Spirit fills the whole earth, we gather here humbled by the cost of our freedom. Help us to stop and look deeply at the faces all around us, to remember that these belonged to real people who left their lives and loved ones for the cause of freedom and peace. Aidez-nous à arrêter et à penser qu'ils étaient de vraies personnes avec un cœur, une voix, une foi, créées de manière unique avec des dons. And help us to see that despite their differences, even differences as fellow Canadians, being French, English, Inuit, Métis, or First Nations, they came together and became friends and fought as one. Ils se sont quand même battus ensemble comme les amis. O Lord, bless this gathering, we pray. Bless the young people and help us all, like those whose faces we see here, to be channels of your love and work together as friends. For in your mercy, this is what you offer us. Amen.
Thank you both for the blessings. Next is the Act of Remembrance. George Cooper will read the Act of Remembrance in English, David Thompson in the indigenous language, and Christopher Michaud in French. Could you please come forward?
They shall not grow old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Thank you.
Ils se vieilliront pas, comme nos autres qui restons vieillissants. L'âge, ils y laisseront pas. Ni les années, ni les connaîtront pas. Au coucher du soleil, et puis au matin, on va s'en souvenir des autres.
Ils ne vieilliront pas comme nous qui leur avons survécu. Ils ne connaîtront jamais l'outrage ni le poids des années. Quand viendra l'heure du crépuscule et celle de l'aurore, nous nous souviendrons d'eux.
Thank you for the reading of the Act of Remembrance. We will now have a musical intermezzo. Vocalist Kerse Jansen and Ilka Kropman, together with keyboard player Peter Rutte, will perform Empty Chairs and Empty Places, followed by Amazing Grace.
There's a grief that can't be spoken. There's a pain goes on and on. Empty chairs at empty tables. Now my friends are dead and gone. Here they talk of revolution. Here it was that lit the flame. Here they sang about tomorrow, and tomorrow never came. From the table in the corner, they could see a world reborn, and they rose with voices ringing. I can hear them now, the very words that they had sung.
Thank you very much for this beautiful performance. I would like to invite Hudson Raté and Sarah Crevier to come forward and read out the commitment to remember in both English and French.
They were young, as we are young. They served, giving freely of themselves. To them we pledge, amid the winds of time, to carry their torch and never forget. We will remember them.
Ils étaient jeunes, jeunes comme nous. Ils ont servi, donnant généreusement d'eux-mêmes. Nous leur promettons, en dépit du temps qui passe, de porter le flambeau et de ne jamais oublier. Nous nous souviendrons d'eux.
Thank you very much. From the All Saints High School in Canada, I would like to introduce teacher Miss Vanessa Kurtz to speak about her work with the students in regard to remembering.
A First World War poet wrote, "When you go home today, tell them of us and say, for your tomorrow, we gave our today." Those of us here today can pass along that important message. The question is, how do we ensure that the next generations learn about the sacrifice of those buried here in this cemetery and elsewhere? This is why I am so grateful that the Faces to Graves foundations exist and why their work is so important. I am a teacher at All Saints High School in Canada, Ontario, Canada, and our school is located on the unceded and unsurrendered territory of the Anishinaabe Algonquin Nation. Over the past 5 years, more than 300 of my students from All Saints High School has researched and written the life stories of 189 Canadian soldiers buried here to contribute to the work of Faces to Graves. Our involvement in this project profoundly impacted my students. They are not only studying Canadian history, they also are learning about what remembrance is. Remembrance is not just for the families of these soldiers. It must also teach future generations about honoring those who made the supreme sacrifice. My connection with Groesbeek Canadian War Cemetery began 10 years ago when I came here as a supervisor on our school trip and attended the 70th anniversary ceremony. During the ceremony, I noticed a veteran stand up and walk across the cemetery to a headstone. He paused and put his hand on it. I captured this incredible moving moment with my camera. After the ceremony, I learned that this veteran had not been back to Europe since the end of the war. The headstone belonged to a friend, and he regretted never having had the chance to say goodbye. That is why he stood at his friend's grave. This simple act of remembrance left a strong impression on me. Every semester, I share the story and photo with a new class of students as they begin their research for Faces to Graves. It leads to discussion about how even after 70 years, the impact of the loss of these soldiers is still felt today. As the students learn about their assigned soldiers, they form a bond, which further strengthens their resolve to ensure their soldier is remembered. As the families of the soldiers and other organizations contribute information to inform their research, the students see firsthand the impact of the loss of each of these lives. As a result, our Faces to Graves project has enhanced remembrance at our school in various ways. Every fall, students plant tulips in the names of their soldiers. In November, for Remembrance Day in Canada, they write a short summary of each soldier's life, which is displayed in the main school entrance. Some students even volunteer to read these aloud at our Remembrance Day ceremony. This sharing is powerful, as it helps the entire student body to connect to soldiers who are not much older than them. Each year, I ask my students to reflect on their experience. Their responses show the understanding and appreciation they have for their fallen soldiers. Leo wrote that, doing the Faces to Graves project felt fulfilling. I felt part of something bigger and helped a brave soldier be remembered. Caitlin reflected that this project helped me realize that war deaths are not just numbers, but represent real lives with families and stories. Another student noted, it's a way to protect these heroes from being forgotten to time. To be one of these lucky students who was able to revive and hopefully keep the memory of one of these soldiers was a true honor and something that I'll carry with me for the rest of my life. Even more moving are the responses from the soldiers' families when they read these life stories. The great niece of Alexander Anderson wrote, I didn't even know him, and I cried today after receiving the info in this life story. Thank you for filling in the blanks. And another, as a child, I was always angry and upset that others had a father and I didn't. I'd cry and couldn't understand why. My mother would console me as best she could. I've always grabbed onto every bit of information, no matter how small. Now it feels like I've gotten to know him all over again. These reactions illustrate how profoundly this project impacts my students and the families and communities of our soldiers. It serves as a reminder of the sacrifices made by Canadian soldiers and those they left behind, and connects students to history on a personal level. This connection demonstrates how Faces to Graves embodies the spirit of anthropologist Margaret Mead's quote, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. Faces to Graves has helped my students and the many people who volunteer with this organization to change the world, ensuring that the sacrifice of these soldiers are not forgotten, lest we forget.
Thank you, Ms. Kurtz, for your work and your inspiring words. Now we will continue with the formal part of this ceremony. The last post and rouse will be played by Bugler Corporal Matthew Meunier of the Canadian Armed Forces, followed by the lament, which is played by Piper Corporal Grant Hill of the Canadian Armed Forces. Dear guests, geachte aanwezigen, when able, please stand for the playing of the last post, the 2 minutes of silence, the rouse and the lament. Please be seated.
Stand up, easy. Stand easy.
Now it's time for our young scouts to come into action. They will place the last 6 photos of the Faces to Graves exhibition on the graves here at the front row. After that, they will give each veteran a Canadian flag. Nu gaan we onze jonge scouts vragen om naar voren te komen. Ze zullen de laatste 6 Faces to Graves foto's plaatsen bij de graven hier op de voorste rij. Daarna zullen zij een Canadese vlag overhandigen aan ieder van de aanwezige veteranen. Thank you very much. Very well done. Heel goed gedaan, jongens en meisjes. Now I'd like to introduce, on my left side, the Canadian Pipes and Drums Society. They traveled all the way from British Columbia in Canada to Groesbeek, and they will perform Highland Cathedral for us. Thank you, Kelowna Pipes and Drum Society, for this impressive performance. The band on my right side is the Canadian Armed Forces Band from the Royal Vendoux Regiment. They will now play for us the national anthems, O Canada and Het Wilhelmus. Dear guests, geachte aanwezigen, please stand for the playing of the national anthems. Thank you, Canadian Armed Forces Band, for this performance of our national anthems. We have almost come to an end of this ceremony, but I'd like to thank everybody who made this possible and who helped in making this ceremony and exhibition happen. Special thanks to the gardeners of the Commonwealth's War Grave Commission, who helped in every possible way. Also thanks to the hiking organization OLAT for the catering and the first aid group from Groesbeek for their assistance. Finally, many thanks for the team for Veterans Affairs for their help and support. I would like to share that we brought enough Canadian flags so that one can be placed on each grave. After this ceremony, I want to invite everybody to look for one of the representatives holding those flags. Take some of the flags which you can place on the graves. The representatives will be at the back of all the chairs after the ceremony. And when you place the flags, please respect the graves. Graag wil ik u uitleggen dat we genoeg Canadese vlaggen hebben meegebracht, zodat er op ieder graf een vlag kan worden geplaatst. Ik wil aan ieder vragen om na de ceremonie naar de vrijwilligers te gaan die deze vlaggen hebben, om een aantal vlaggen te ontvangen en deze bij de graven te plaatsen. De vrijwilligers staan straks achter de stoelen. En wilt u bij het plaatsen van de vlaggen de graven respecteren. After this ceremony, also attending family members of Canadian soldiers that are buried here at Groesbeek will place photos on their relatives' graves. Dear guests, dames en heren, please stand for the departure of the Guard and the Canadian Armed Forces Band. This concludes the ceremony. On behalf of the Faces to Grace Foundation and Veterans Affairs Canada, I thank you for your attendance and please join us for refreshments in the tent next to the parking lot. Dit is het einde van de ceremonie. Namens Faces to Grace en Veterans Affairs wil ik u danken voor uw aanwezigheid en graag uitnodigen om wat te drinken in de tent naast de parkeerplaats. Thank you.
Ja, ik reed terug naar het huis. Ja, daarom niet geliefd. Zo. Dingen volgens mij wel aan moeten gedaan. Oh, als je pas een week weg terug. Gewoon niet op de hoek.
I'll try and get another photo with somebody.